What up, what up, what up? So celebration events are coming to an end this weekend, and set one product is basically out there. We are going into a new game, and there's a mix of players between players coming from Masters and players coming into the game as new Dragon Ball players. Masters players seem to have a little bit of an advantage playing the previous game, but doesn't mean that the newer players can't come up and show up. So I wanted to put this deck profile out there in order to help any of the newer players get a grasp on what they should be looking out for, prepared for, at least the Frieza pilots. We will have other deck profiles later regarding the other colors. The boys have kind of split up the color palette, and I'm taking yellow. You'll be seeing deck profiles from Phil Pena, Vinny Silverman, Nori, Matt Dentis on the other colors. With that being said, I want to give them a huge shout out. I went to Toy Wiz on Sunday with nothing but an idea of what I wanted to play for the event, and within the hour, I was handed everything I needed to play. And for those of you guys who understand how expensive card games are and how hard it is to get into card games and maintain it, that's no small feat. So I want to just give a big shout out to the guys, both the Toy Wiz guys and the testing group. Like I said, I named them before: Vinny, Nori, Phil, Matt. I appreciate you guys so much. But that being said, let's get into the profile. So I'll be profiling today's starter deck Frieza. Starter deck Frieza is one of my favorite leaders coming out in the game that came out in the game so far. It provides, in my opinion, the most control that you can get. There are no with the new changes to the game. There are no negates. There aren't any super combos that do anything crazy like Shugesh did back in the days. But some of the things in this deck are very reminiscent of the Shugesh-esque effects. Nothing to that extent of a free guy, but let's get into it and I'll break it down for you. Uh, so to start off, Frieza is a draw leader. So when attacking, draw a card, and awakens at 4 life, just like most leaders do in the game at the moment. And on this awakened side, it's attacking draw, but during your end phase, you are able to untap two of your battle cards. So, barring any like hard removal via battle power decreasing or bouncing or just outright KOing, the cards that you untap are effectively hard to interact with. So it saves those that way. And some cards have effects based off of blocking in your deck that are invaluable. So this also helps keep that online. One shout out to Bandai. I do love these energy markers. Shout out to Phil for the Frieza one. These are gorgeous. And just one of the highlights of playing the game outside of the game itself. But let's get into the profile. Um, to start off, we have quadruple Sorbet. Sorbet is a one drop energy boosted Majin Buu. If you don't know from the previous game, on play, draw a card. So it replaces itself on play, and it is a 5k combo. It has, in this deck specifically, it has another resource. In order to put your Raccoon that you'll see later on online, you need to have at least, for the full play, for the Ginyu, you need to at least have 3 Frieza's Armory on resolution of playing the Ginyu. So this is a one drop that specifically is nice because it doesn't pose a threat to your opponent, per se, so it doesn't warrant an outright removal. And if they do remove it, they're wasting on a one drop that replaces itself. So it's not very efficient on their part. But usually this will stick around in order for you to facilitate the Raccoon later. To go along with the one drops, we also have the one drop Frieza. I like this card a lot. This is the first card that that we're gonna show that demonstrates the abilities of Frieza. Um, the yellow color has the ability to tap down creatures. In conjunction with your leader, in conjunction with your leader, it becomes very strong because this is one of the colors that has the best possibility of choking out your opponent if they don't self-awaken. So if you have experience playing before in Masters, you know exactly in the early sets how powerful Results of Training was because most people weren't attacking you. Now it's a little bit different with the unawakened side drawing a card. So the conclusion that we've came to in our testing group is that most people will be attacking because if you attack an opponent's leader and they take a life and you draw a card, You both got a card out of the process, but you are one step closer to your win condition. And any critical leader, that's the benefit of a critical leader, that you're attacking, and they're not warranting cards off of that. They're not getting cards off of it. But the ability to rest your opponent's battle cards, then go into with Frieza to draw, and then not give them the life. You just drew a card, removed a potty, and are that much closer. And then you play your own Self Awakeners, which also help rest cards and help facilitate your win conditions later on. So it's nothing, you're not going out of your way in order to play those cards, whereas the opponent will be going out of their way in order to play the cards that Self Awaken them. So it's also a 10k combo. In this deck, we have a lot of 5ks and 0ks for combo cost. So having four of the 10k is great to improve the consistency of our defensive capabilities. To go into further, we have. Oh, sorry, that's not the right one. Things got messed up. Sorry about that. Oh yeah, we have four second stage Frieza. This Frieza is pretty good. It's a Self Awakener that when attacks, it rests a 3-drop or less. So again, the ability to one, challenge an awakened leader, and two, rest your opponent's battle cards so that way you don't have to attack the leader straight out is really, really good in this deck. And this card, one of the cards that warrant a response, allows you to remove the setup cards that people play early on and pose an aggressive, it proposes a threat to an awakened leader later on as well. To go along with that, we have 4 Zarbon as a Self Awakener that on play. That's as a blocker. That's a Self Awakener on play. So it takes a card on play and it blocks for you. Also challenges an awakened leader. It's also a 5k combo. So as you can see, the 5k versus the 10k are great depending on different attacks. I like it a lot, and it proved to be one of the most consistent cards in the deck in terms of getting to you to the point where you can take control of the game. Um, Outside of Raccoon, that's like the only Self Awakeners I play. Honorable mention to there's one more cooler army. It's a blocker that Self Awakens, but it does not keep your Ginyu play online. So I wanted to lean towards those. And one thing I don't see people playing a lot of is Tu Kui. I opted to play Tu Kui because I think green is the most popular matchup in my local personally, and something that is going to be very powerful going on. It's not just good against green, it's good against the 5-drop red beers as well. Anything that KOs your board or KOs your cards. So when any of those cards, being the Broly, the secret rare Gohan, or the beers hits the board, you're able to rest a card once this is removed, once this is KO'd. So this itself answers the Broly. If they play it, they have to pop this in order to attack. Then you rest it in response. If they play it, don't pop this, pop something else, and then they attack, you block it, rest that card. If they Gohan it, you rest it. And I know most people are thinking like, oh, the Gohan can't attack anyway, but having it rested is invaluable to make it a target for the 5-drop Frieza, so it doesn't restand the following turn. So this is a card that helps mitigate those matchups in those bad instances, because going wide and then getting Beerus or Gohan is tough, but this deck does want to go wide at points to challenge the leader and just wear down the resources. Going forward, we have 4 Raccoon. Raccoon on play, take a life, and then you could play a Ginyu Force card from your hand that's 2 or less. So to go along with that, we have 4 Captain Ginyu. Captain Ginyu on play, if you have, let me move this down a little bit, sorry. If you have at least 3 Frieza's Army card on board, then you can untap 2 energy, and then you can't play another Ginyu for the rest of the turn, but that's not really an issue. It's just like this with these two together, it becomes a 1 mana draw card and then play 2 20Ks. So that's great rate. It's no Shugesh, but it's very reminiscent of the swarming capabilities that Mecha Frieza once had in Masters if you played during that format. Um, to go along with the Ginyu Force cards, we have for Birder, it's a vanilla 10k that also challenges leader. All the Ginyu Force and the Frieza Army challenge leader except for the 1-drops. So all these cards are going at face. Again, 10k combo is important, and After having the 2 mana up on your turn 3, you can either play that, the Qui, the blocker, the second stage Frieza. It opens up a lot of plays for you. So there's another option that you can play, and once you're awakened, you can then restand this, and then it has a 10k combo defensively. Um, if you want that, because most of the times when it's rested, the Raccoon is a target for 2k or less damages. So unless the card that you're specifically trying to avoid interaction with can interact with a 3k, a 3 drop card, then it's better to stand this just to have the 10k combo. Going forward into our mid to late game packages, we have for Full Power Frieza. Full Power Frieza is the best stat to cost ratio card in the game currently, barring any reduction via Goku Black or cost reduction cards in that manner. Um, it's a 40k, so it challenges almost any card in the game. It's hard to remove itself, so even though the one downside of it is it can't be restood, so it can't be restood in the charge phase, I should specify. But with the Freezer Leader's ability, you are able to restand it in the end step and then have it up there. And even if you don't choose to stand it, you choose to stand something as like a blocker or something to that effect, then it's really hard for them to attack up and to remove that. And if they're spending cards on it, then it's done its job. So that's that. Another 4 drop, the best card in our deck, is going to be the 4 drop Cooler. The 4 drop Cooler says when attacking or when blocking, rest a card on your opponent controls it. If it's a 2 drop, KO it. This card is great because it answers the yellow Raccoon Rush plays. Um, so because it could challenge a Raccoon for 10k over, so that's at least a super combo or 2 cards, and being able to rest the other cards and KO them, or KO the rested cards is invaluable. So you could attack, rest again, you pop it, attack again via a body change that you'll see later on, and it's just a 5 mana play that wipes their entire board. And in the end phase, because the leader ability, then you could restand it and then have that live during their turn as well. It's 30k also, so it's nothing to laugh at in terms of the stat line. And to round out the big and late drops, we have 2 5 drop Frieza. The more I play that card, the more I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it has this niche uses in terms of double striking for game and challenging threats that have already been tapped. So its ability to lock down a card and not have it restand during the charge phase next turn is great. Also, the fact that it's 35, it's huge. It's swinging for double strike, but you don't want to see it in most instances. Most times you're closing out the game via cooler and full power, but there are instances where you're going to need a double strike or need to lock down a threat that's already been established, especially in green. So 2 still wave there. And then we have 4 Chilai super combo. There's no at this moment in time after set 1 drops. There's no difference in playing this or the nail, but this just came with the starter deck, so I'm playing this. You can play whichever one you want. For the extra cards, I play 2 Crusher Ball. Crusher Ball is great because a lot of times what they'll do is they will, especially with the Broly and like the big threats, if they're able to restand it, or if they has like a ETB effect or on play effect that affects the board, if they have game next turn or have another threat next turn, what they'll do is keep it standing so I can't lock it down with my 5 drop Frieza. So this rests it, and then I'm able to lock that down and hopefully fend off game for another turn, or apply enough pressure where I out tempo them. And it replaces itself. So early on, if you don't have any of the self awakeners and you draw it instead of the sorbet or the 1 drop, it's still fine to cycle through a card and just get one more card deeper. And sometimes if you're going second and you draw it, you could cycle this and then rest their card, attack, and then keep your opponent off of awakening as well. So I do like that. Then we have 2 Supernova. Supernova is great because offensively comboing this game is, I don't think, the best thing you want to be doing. Your super combos, the change that came from Masters is that you don't draw a card um, when you're offensively comboing with it. It's only during your opponent's turn where you get the additional benefit. You don't draw a card anymore. You just get an extra 10k combo. But using it offensively is not where you want to be at. Um, so this allows you to effectively super combo during your turn for 1 mana. So it helps you push for game, especially behind the 5 drop Frieza. So 5 drop Frieza is already at 35 it goes to 55, and then 75 between two cards, and then depending on what you have on board, if you want to put it into it, um, it helps you remove the big threats that you don't want to deal with outside of 5 drop Frieza. So if you like a full power in this into um, one of the bigger threats, then it helps you remove those guys without necessarily having to lock it down with the 5 drop. And to wrap it up, we have two body change. So body change helps remove threats off the board in conjunction with the cooler. And one of the cooler things, no pun intended, is there's a 5 drop Frost in red that says 20Ks can't attack. So if they play that, you really can't challenge that outside of your mid to late game, which you will see. But if they're able to combat on one attack, it's tough. It's a 20k itself, but if you have body change, you're able to rest the one of the 20ks that can't attack regardless, and then play this. And also because you're attacking, you're able to rest their other cards and pop them. So most of the time they can't combo out of the two 30ks over it, unless they have multiple cards they're willing to pitch. And in that case, then you're getting advantage that way. And then in the end phase, you could still restand this to block. Um, so there's fighting an uphill battle against this in the body change. So I wanted to have an out to that. I just want to concede to cards like that, or have cards I have to outright concede to. But that's pretty much the profile. Really do appreciate you guys tuning in and checking it out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it below. We really appreciate any like and any subscription you may want to do. We will be dropping profiles for Broly, Vegeta. I believe it's Beerus that he's running, and possibly many more. But stay tuned and check out for that. Really do appreciate you guys tuning in. Take it easy.